A wife slacking off is totally unacceptable. If you're going to take it easy, then just leave. Half joking, my mother-in-law poured beer over my head. Droplets of beer trickled down from my hair. In that moment, glaring at mother-in-law, I decided it was time to leave this place. My name is Emerson. I live with my husband Derek and our 10-year-old daughter Sandy. Our family life is generally peaceful, but that tranquility shatters whenever we visit my in-laws. Once a month, we drive 20 minutes to visit them, a family tradition. Their home is more rural than ours, and with fields for Sandy, who loves the countryside to play in, we make these monthly visits. But each visit brings me immense stress. It's the same old story. My mother-in-law goes out of her way to make life hard for me. When we visit, she'll drop all household chores to play with Sandy. I'm grateful she entertains Sandy, but the problem is she fills Sandy's head with bad things about me. Sandy is 10 now and is starting to realize what mother-in-law says isn't quite right, but it was much worse when she was younger. Sandy, tell Mommy I hate you, go away. Mommy will be really happy, mother-in-law told little Sandy. When I actually heard Sandy say, I hate you, go away, it was a shock. Both Derek and I were thrown into chaos after I broke down crying at home. When Derek asked Sandy, it came out that mother-in-law had been poisoning her against me. Though Derek and I protested strongly, mother-in-law didn't seem to care. I even told Derek I didn't want to visit them anymore, but he insisted we keep the monthly visits. Maybe because he's an only child, but more because he's a mama's boy. Derek, convinced that most of what his mother says is right, sometimes joins her in tormenting me, knowingly or unknowingly. When at their home, mother-in-law dumps all the housework on me, so I end up cooking. Cooking in someone else's kitchen is always challenging. And mother-in-law would chime in, why on earth did Derek marry such a slow woman? Sandy and I are starving. Derek would add, well, you are a bit slow, Emerson. You like to take your time, making me even angrier. In the car ride home, after confirming Sandy was asleep in the back seat, I confronted Derek. He responded, look, I know it's bad, but if I don't agree with Mom, she could say worse things. I'm doing this to protect you from further insults, which made me lose it. After that, I didn't say a word in the car, but that night I told Derek, if this continues, I'm considering divorce. Every time we visit the in-laws, Derek takes mother-in-law's side. I had enough. Derek had said sorry over and over, but he wasn't changing his ways. When I told him I was thinking of divorce, he looked genuinely surprised. You dislike it that much? He said casually. Of course I disliked it. Why do I have to do all the household chores whenever we visit your parents? They're your parents, but it's not my home. The only ones who help me out are Sandy and your dad. Sandy started helping me with the dishes and folding laundry when she got to elementary school. His mom didn't like it, but Sandy would say, it's tough on Mom, isn't it? And help anyway. It's a relief that Sandy turned out so well. What surprised me was that his dad helped. He's really reserved, and I never quite know what he's thinking. Whenever I'm tasked with vacuuming, he'll get up and do it. But he just stays quiet with a stern face when his wife talks bad about me. It's hard to know what he really feels. So, I asked Derek to say something about this, and he awkwardly said, but it'll put Mom in a bad mood. If you keep prioritizing your mother, we're definitely getting a divorce. I can't take it anymore. Wait, I never want to divorce, Emerson. It's better for Sandy to have both parents, right? Please reconsider. Maybe you should be the one to reconsider. Who's more important, me or your mother? When I stared at Derek, he answered with a troubled voice. You and Sandy are the most important. After some thought, he broke the silence. Okay. I won't side with Mom anymore. I'll protect you, Emerson. Just give me a chance. I replied, I promise. I don't really want a divorce either, but I can't live with a husband who just watches his mom harass me. If he stops siding with her, I have no complaints about the rest of our married life. Soon enough, it was time to visit his parents again. This time, they're hosting a barbecue in the yard. Looking forward to it, Sandy? Wow, really? I love barbecue! Both Derek and Sandy were overjoyed. I get it for Sandy, she's a kid. But as for Derek, well, he's clearly enjoying himself because he's not the one doing the work. They have a barbecue every year, and I'm the one responsible for everything from setup to cooking. His dad helps, but it's mentally draining working alone with him. And then his mom will complain that the meat is overcooked and tough. It's all part of the package. For me, barbecues were never a source of joy. They were all about Derek enjoying the meat and vegetables. I expect you to be on my side tomorrow. You promised, remember? I got it. I'll help with the barbecue prep too. The night before visiting my in-laws, I reminded Derek, but wasn't holding my breath. If Derek won't change, then it's time to consider divorce. With that resolve, I went to my in-laws, and, to my surprise, Derek really did change. My mother-in-law told Derek, "You can just leave everything to Emerson," but Derek declined. "It's not right that Emerson does all the prep and cooking, Mom. You take care of Sandy, and I'll help out." Mother-in-law, who usually just played with Derek and Sandy while waiting for the barbecue, was taken aback by his words. Derek took over lifting the heavy stuff and even helped light the fire. "Thank you," I told him, to which he bashfully replied, "It's my fault for not helping out before." I had doubts if this change was just for today, but his words and expressions cleared those doubts. While Derek, my father-in-law, and I were preparing the barbecue, Sandy said, "I want to help too," and joined us. Mother-in-law, who was left alone, perhaps felt she couldn't just stand there doing nothing. Awkwardly, she brought a cloth from inside the house and started wiping the table clean. Maybe this means the hostility will end. Or so I thought. It might have been a mistake. As we prepared under the hot sun, I lost my balance while getting up from a squatting position. I almost fell but caught myself, and father-in-law, who saw it all, asked, "Are you okay?" "Sorry, the heat got to me," I responded. "Emerson, are you sure you're fine? Maybe you're getting heat stroke. Perhaps it's better to rest in the shade." Hearing our conversation, Derek voiced his concern. I was a bit surprised since I had never been allowed to rest at my in-laws, but this time I took Derek up on his offer. I sat on a chair he brought into the shade and took a deep breath. My head felt dizzy, and I probably did have heat stroke. While sipping on my sports drink, mother-in-law approached me. "Emerson, are you okay? I heard you weren't feeling well." "Thank you for your concern. I think I might have slight heat stroke." For mother-in-law to worry about me was something new. As surprised as I was by her sudden change in demeanor, my mother-in-law was beaming at me. Just moments ago, she was sulking, clearly not in a good mood. Now she was warmly smiling at me, which honestly felt unsettling. I thought maybe she'd turned a new leaf, just like Derek had, but I soon realized that wasn't the case. Mother-in-law pulled out a can of beer she'd been hiding behind her back and offered it to me. "Have a drink and cheer up. Nothing beats a cold beer on a hot day." I'd rather not drink alcohol right now. I had no idea if it was okay to drink alcohol when dealing with heat exhaustion, but I was definitely not in the mood for a beer. My refusal made mother-in-law's smile vanish, replaced by a creepy, angry grin. "You can't even drink a beer that your mother-in-law offers you? Why are you the only one feeling unwell when everyone else is fine? You're just slacking off, aren't you?" "I'm not slacking off. Maybe I didn't hydrate enough while preparing for the event, but heat exhaustion varies from person to person." Ignoring my protest, mother-in-law half-languidly popped open the can of beer. Before I knew it, she poured it over my head. "A daughter-in-law who slacks off is unacceptable. If you're going to take a break, then leave." Droplets of beer trickled down from my hair. I glared at mother-in-law, making up my mind to leave this place. "Fine, I'll go." Groggy from the heat, I used the wall to steady myself as I stood up. Just as I was about to storm off, father-in-law stepped in front of me. "Husband, Emerson was slacking off instead of helping. Please say something to her." As mother-in-law yelled, father-in-law spoke. Not to me, but to mother-in-law. "Are you out of your mind? Who throws beer at someone like that? Emerson wasn't slacking off. She got sick because she was working so hard on preparations." Both mother-in-law and I were taken aback as father-in-law's face turned red with anger. "I've wanted to stop you from bullying Emerson for a long time, but I didn't know what to say. Stop this childish nonsense right now. If anyone is leaving, it's you." Father-in-law then went off somewhere, and before I knew it, he came back with a towel for me. Mother-in-law stood there, stunned, as father-in-law told me, "You should go take a shower. Don't hesitate." "Why?" mother-in-law screamed. "I was bullied by my mother-in-law too, back when she was alive. Why are you siding with Emerson now when you never stood up for me?" "My mom isn't the one causing trouble here." Father-in-law spoke in disbelief, referencing Derek's late grandmother. Derek's grandmother, or mother-in-law's mother-in-law, was said to be a gentle woman. Having been told by her own mother that she must serve her mother-in-law once married, mother-in-law did exactly that. She devoted herself to her mother-in-law. That's when it clicked why mother-in-law had the same expectation of me. "What's all the commotion? Oh my God, Emerson, are you okay?" Derek finally showed up and was shocked to see me covered in beer. At that point, father-in-law raised his voice. "Derek, you're also to blame. Sure, you've been working today, but leaving everything to Emerson is not fair. You've even sided with your mom to put Emerson down before. Protect your wife like a husband should." Yes, sir." Derek seemed stunned by his father's words, but quickly snapped out of it and took me to the bathroom to clean up. Since I hadn't brought a change of clothes, I borrowed one of Derek's old t-shirts and shorts. Still stunned about his father's outburst, Derek mumbled, I've never seen Dad talk so much. After showering and changing, I returned to the yard to find my in-laws grilling meat for the barbecue. Noticing my return, father-in-law told mother-in-law, You need to apologize properly. Mother-in-law grudgingly said, I'm sorry. Father-in-law also apologized to me. Although he struggled to find the right words, he said he had his share of responsibility for letting the harassment continue, and he seemed genuinely remorseful. I had thought father-in-law was a tough nut to crack, but he was actually concerned about me all along. While I was thanking father-in-law, mother-in-law handed me a plate of grilled meat and veggies. Just sit down for today. Heat stroke is no joke. If you're not feeling well, feel free to go inside and cool down. I was surprised by mother-in-law's kind words, but quietly replied, Thank you. I suppose mother-in-law had her own hardships when she was younger. Maybe that's why she assumed that mistreatment was a given, and it took father-in-law to break down that barrier. From that point on, mother-in-law became very kind to me and even lent me a dress she wore when she was younger. This might not be the latest style, but wear this for your ride home. This is super cute. Thank you. Mother-in-law gave me a gentle smile when I expressed joy at the retro-styled dress. Seeing that smile made me think that I could get along with mother-in-law from now on. My premonition was spot on. Ever since the barbecue incident, mother-in-law stopped mistreating me, and we've been able to live a peaceful life with the in-laws.